called this meeting tonight to talk about Christman Ballfield and what our options are. You can't hear me. We called this meeting to talk about Christman Ballfield and what our options are for it and what we can do to either purchase it or do the intermunicipal transfer. But we wanted to hear from the people because it's going to be your tax dollars. If we do decide to purchase it, that we'll be spending. So we wanted to give you a voice, listen to all yous, and go from there with it. So if you signed your sheet to come up and speak, please come up. First we have Rod Green. Yeah, we're going to do 3 minutes for everybody to speak. No negativity. I don't want to hear about the school board or anything like that. No bashing. Positive, be positive.
Just suggestions.
Yeah, suggestions. You guys like that? Anything before we start? No? Okay, Mr. Green.
All right, I want to introduce myself. I'm Rod Green. I've been a Franklin Township supervisor for 18 years. And I just want to say, in all of that time, we worked great with the school board, with that field. We never had a problem. Now we get a new school board on, and we got one guy who thinks we should do everything different, sell it. It's been working great the way it is. I don't understand why we have to sell it, buy it, whatever. The Franklin Township's been maintaining it ever since I've been a supervisor, way before that. Never had any problems. I don't understand why they want the Little League to buy it when they don't have the manpower to maintain it, because I know Franklin Township pays all the costs to mow it, everything. And it's not just mowing, maintaining it, the buildings. I know when buildings need some repair, they chip in, but I know the league does a lot too. But what I'm saying is there's a lot of costs, and I just don't see the Little League being able to handle all the things to do versus a township when we have employees and the community can take care of it. Plus, it shouldn't just be for the Little League. We have soccer, we have other sports, so why do we want to just narrow it down into one group? A community's got to come together, and the problem I see is we're dividing the community. So it's about time we all work together and get the community to work together. That's all I really got to say. So I hope we can pull this off, and I just think it's best interest of Franklin Township owning the fields.
Good, thank you.
Oh, David Bradley.
All right, I'm Dave Bradley. I'm a local resident of Franklin Township. When people get emotional, they tend to get tunnel vision and they lose sight of morality on a lot of occasions. I see the fields as a morality issue. It's a test to see who's willing to harm whom and for what. When the votes are cast, we'll all see who thinks a little immorality is okay. Some people were taught, thou shalt not, and others were, well, except for a little bit. And we're looking more for that morality side. The idea of a representative government is to prevent harm. It is not to sacrifice one group at the will of a larger lobby, hiding behind the fallacy of greater good. Some of the worst things in history were perpetrated upon the weak by the loud and strong, exercising their right and idea of greater good. A common analogy for a mob rule is 3 wolves and a sheep deciding who's for dinner. In a representative government, like we have in America, the government is supposed to protect the sheep from the wolves using a moral code. The ideology of do no harm. It's kind of like the Hippocratic Oath, except for when it comes to politicians, it's more like let no lobby leverage the government to use its authority as a weapon to harm others, especially the weaker. Citizens offered to help the FTAA in buying the fields, and we had a mob of the FTA parents lambasting on social media the guy that put it together. They're crying, it's for the kids. The parents are the ones that pay. And the parents that can afford to pay should, because they can. You shouldn't leverage the other people that can't into pay, right? So I judge them as hypocrites, that's my thing. It's the parents that pay for that baseball. Any self-respecting parent would not hide behind their kids to leverage the government into harming some others to pay for baseball. If it's the greedy homeowners that are stopping parents from playing baseball, shame on all of us. People lose their homes to district taxes through mismanagement and the immorality of bad choices. And that's what most of us are trying to fix. From an open-minded, moral point of view, the FTAA should ask those willing to donate, as I voluntarily did, and collect funds so they can own the fields. They should have a fair trade agreement with Franklin Township or the district for the open space, trading effort and access and volunteerism for the fields that they own privately, outside of government. If the Franklin Township chooses to head in the directions that they want to own the fields, they too first should ask those willing and able to contribute before they use a single penny of taxpayers' dollars. Those funds were taken under the authority of government, and a penalty for non-payment ends at the business end of the sheriff's gun taking their home. The power to tax should be wielded wisely, not emotionally. There is also an idea of eminent domain. That's even more powerful than the power to tax, and we should watch that. There's no rush for these decisions. The facts and opinions are still being discussed, and as promised, I found another appraisal for $5 grand an acre with 3 comps that was done within the last year or so, about 16 at the end of 16, that I gave to the Franklin Township supervisors. If anybody wants a copy of it, I can give it to them. Thank you.
Gloria Bowman.
Good evening. My name is Gloria Bowman. I live right up here above the fire company on Bass Pike. I would hope that the district and the school board and township could work together on an agreeable transfer without incurring huge costs for both the good of the community and our children. I personally think that an intermunicipal agreement presents a great opportunity to expand the idea of making the Christman Fields more of a community park through Parks and Recreation along the lines of Pfeiffer. At one time, between the soccer fields and the Christman Field, we had trails that went up the side. We had birdhouses, we had benches, and what happened was only 2 people were overtaking it and trying to keep it clear, and it was almost impossible for that to happen. So I think we as a community, if we work together, we can make an expansion and make it more lucrative for all people to enjoy instead of just Christman Fields, and keep the fields but also expand it further. Those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Ed Merrick.
Good evening. My name's Ed Rarick. I'm a resident here in Franklin Township. I'm also a coach with the Little League, and I've been with that organization for some time now. A couple of months ago, I spoke in front of the school board, and I tried to convey the value of what we do to the community by developing our children into youthful, contributing adults to society, and the values that we instill in those kids from a very young age at 4 years old up into the Babe Ruth when they're 15 years old. And those things, they carry on with them through life and hopefully give back to the community. It's those things that make that organization great. This isn't about money. The township and the school district aren't going to lower our taxes if the Little League buys that field. And that's what's being portrayed. We've been told to take that field. We've been told to buy that field and then flip it and go take advantage of some farmer down the road, which is ridiculous. We've been told to, not take advantage of people, but some of the greatest things in this world have happened because communities have come together and done things for children. And whether the township buys it, or whether the school district decides to transfer it, I agree. That thing up there could be something much greater than what it is. The equipment at the schools is being given away and donated. Why shouldn't it be moved up to that field and create a playground or green space, which townships and cities are looking for continuously? And we can protect it and have it forever. Thank you.
Susan Dean? Susan, oh, sorry, you didn't think. Yeah, sure.
Hi, I'm Sue Deem. I'm a taxpayer here too. I've lived out here for 24 years, I think, in Franklin Township. I grew up in Lehighton. Just to piggyback on Mrs. Bowman's idea a little bit, this takes it a lot further, but my husband and I kind of thought a lot about the school itself and using that, possibly the township. And I just spoke to the supervisors, and it's a huge undertaking, but the township possibly buying it, excuse me, and using it as a community center. It has the gym, a rec center for the kids. Pleasant Valley did it. I don't know, exactly who has those old buildings, but I know, like, I went to one of the painting classes out of the Eldred School, and like anybody could rent out rooms. It was, all different spaces you could rent. I guess you could use the gym. Excuse me, I'm a little nervous. I didn't really see the gym, but it's something to think about, because there sits that beautiful school, and something for another avenue for the kids and for everybody in the community. You could host different dinners. There's the kitchen there. Lots of ideas. So just something to think about, to piggyback off of, keeping the green space and the fields. They would be protected. The township would have them. And I know it's big. And, everybody's like, whoa, taxes, but there's grants. I would think there's grants. I know, somebody has to write them and it's work, but it's just something to think about since we're out here giving out ideas. Okay?
Now, does anybody else want to speak? That's all we have signed up to speak.
Oh, I would.
Sure, yes, sir.
My name is Lou Gower, and I might get a little emotional, but I love that attachment to Christman Ballfield. I started coaching when there was only 60 kids up there, 4 teams, 2 minor and 2 major league teams. This was presented to me when my son, they dedicated one of the fields up there when my son passed away. And I'd hate to see them fields go. And there was another boy, Justin Smith, died this same year. And to see those fields go, it would just break my heart. That's all I have to say.
Anybody else?
Yes. My name is Thomas Phelps. I was a police officer in Franklin Township for over 30 years. I was here when the Little League fields came about. And I seen the parents, the citizens, everybody that put something into these fields to make it a better place for everyone. The township has worked with the Franklin Township Little League the entire time. We sit here and we talk about opioid deaths, we talk about drug deaths, and what are we gonna do? Well, we're gonna sell the Little League field. So where are these kids gonna go? We want them hanging on the street corners? Fine. Members of the school board, let's get our act together and let's get these fields to where they belong. They belong to the Franklin Township Little League Association and Franklin Township. Give the kids something to do. Let's support them. Let's put away the petty differences and let's make money and let's sell them, and we're 116 million in debt for the school. I'm tired of hearing it. Let's get our asses up there and support these kids. If you don't want to do it, then get out. And I'm done.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Over here, Ernie. I'll remember you today.
You have to excuse me because I don't speak so well anymore. My name is Ernie Heckman. I'm a taxpayer here. These guys that coach this Little League, I get a joy out of it. I get to go to the games when I can. So it's something for me to do. Now, Mr. Bradley thinks that these kids playing the ball is a big burden on all of us taxpayers for the $7,500 that we spend. So I guess maybe we shouldn't have high school teams either because we pay taxes for those kids to play too. I guess that's what he thinks, but it's
Not
wrong.
what I think, and you know it.
What's done
That's not
here.
what I think, and you know it. You know that's not what I think.
Excuse me, he's talking.
Hey, you challenge me, I'm gonna answer.
He's talking.
But anyway, I watch different coaches on the different teams, and it's a joy for me to watch. These guys are investing their time teaching these kids, and it's not about winning and losing with these guys, which is amazing for kids at that age. They're teaching them true values. So for $7,500 that you guys are paying, I'll even kick a couple more bucks in on my taxes to keep those fields in Franklin Township.
Yeah.
Somebody over here? Go ahead.
I'm Tom Zollner, a resident of the community here in Franklin Township. Most of my time here, I was a member of the Lions Club, Franklin Township Lions Club, and worked on a lot of community projects. And every time we worked on a community project, the reason we got support from the other part of the community was because of the cooperation between Franklin Township and what was going on in the parks, the Little League, and the help from the school district and providing the land for the Christman Field. I don't want to see that go away. It's a partnership that doesn't just affect those, it affects everybody. Because that allowed us to get grants from, you can't believe all the places. And you know what they were looking for? They were looking for local community partnerships. That's what drove the grants to come in. We got grants from Horsehead Resources, we got grants from the state, we got grants from, let's just not hear any of them. Let's work together. We've got to work together because people are watching. And without that outside support as well as between us, we're all going to fail. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, anybody else that would like to speak? Go ahead. Oh,
Just wait a second.
I'll make it quick. Thank you for, okay, go ahead, Jen.
sorry.
My name is Jen Norsworthy. I was a longtime citizen of Franklin Township. I also played for T-ball on a. It is about the kids. It is about keeping our kids out of trouble, out of the opiate, just like Mr. Belts had said. What are these kids? There's been how many kids that have gone through the system that have stayed out of trouble? I have also done my due time as a former coach. I've given back my free time. I don't have free time. I make free time. We have to work as a community. Have to. It is about the kids. It's about to save the property. It's not about money. It's got to stop about money. We volunteer. I pull out of my pockets to give to the field. We do donations. People volunteer free time. We have to work together.
Wayne Wentz. I lived in Franklin Township for 67 years before I moved. I was born in Long Run. My grandfather's farm out there, which Sandy now lives in. I spent 36 years with these kids. We have kids that are athletic directors at universities. We had kids that fought in wars. And now people want to take that away. That field's dedicated to a Marine veteran that got killed in Vietnam. And when his sister begged at the school board meeting for one of 4 people to change their vote, they laughed at her. A veteran who died in Vietnam. Imagine that. That is terrible. But that's not, you know, I get emotional. My wife don't want me to do this, but listen, all I'm asking, yous are good people. I've seen that already. We got good people in administration at the school district. We have great people with the Little League. I'm asking all 3 groups, find a place away from everybody here and sit down, and whatever you come up with, I'm sure we can all work together to keep those fields up there. So it would mean a lot, not only to me, to my grandson that's playing there now, my grandkids that went through there, and these people's kids and Lou, God bless you. When we dedicated that field to your son and Shane Smith, it was an emotional day, but it was a great day. We will always remember your son. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else who would like to speak?
My name is Robbie Cressley. I'm a resident of Franklin and I serve on the board. I was just hoping that the same taxpayers' money, we could maybe split the cost of subdividing, and the school would be able to come to an agreement to give it to us for $1. It'd be wonderful. Or they'd want to maybe maintain and keep it for $1 a year lease. What's so terrible about that? It's something simple, but it's effective. Thank you.
I'm just glad for all the support. I'm glad for everyone that took the time to come so that we get an idea of how everyone feels. That's what this meeting was about. Okay. Anybody else?
I just want to say, I feel what's going to happen here is going back and forth, bickering and bickering and bickering. And what's going to happen? Nothing's going to happen. And then the school's going to get sold. And then we all lose. That's what's going to happen. The field. The school's going to be sold, and the fields will be sold. Some company's going to come in and buy it. Then the fields are gone. So we don't have a choice. So that's what's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen, and we're all going to lose.
I have a question. Would you guys be happy just having the Christman fields and not the soccer fields?
Soccer court also, and it contains a lot of kids.
Well, can you put soccer fields somewhere else?
No.
There's 4 other places that I know of.
Yeah, and do you go every day? Do you go to those functions?
Yeah.
You can't find parking, you can't find seating, they are overflowing.
Okay, why do you want to divide the community? Why don't we work together? Why is it
What
baseball
happens-
or soccer? Why isn't it
happens
everybody?
when you
It's a
take
community.
away the soccer fields from the school? The school has absolutely no value. There's not gonna be enough
What do you
parking
mean?
for anyone to want that property.
Will that change your vote?
It might.
Gail, of all people, you're a Franklin Township resident, and I thought you supported the community. I can't believe that you're doing this to the community.
I am not doing this to community.
What is it
The
about?
soccer
What's it
fields
about?
need to stay with the schools, and the school has value when it's sold.
But having a soccer field there, having track, which would become an athletic assist.
So when this all started in November, it was only included the Christman fields. It did not include the soccer fields. Those were added by our superintendent.
Again, Gail, you're only worried about the money.
Yeah, stop.
Somebody needs to
Hey.
be worried about.
We sent the letter over asking for it because we had a citizen come in and said about the soccer fields. Now, I didn't know there were soccer fields down there. I knew there was a ball backstop and stuff, that they had softball down there. So the way I look at it, when they sell these schools, like they did with the other two, they're just gonna dump them. And the most they're gonna get for it is $350,000, like they did the other ones. So if the township can gather more land, so there's more open space for the community, it makes sense. Because what do you wanna do, sell that soccer field with the school for $350,000, or you just wanna sell the school for $350,000? Because that's what they're gonna get for it, because it's not worth much more.
And then you have,
Can I say something?
Actually have a question and answer period so that people can ask you guys questions, because obviously you have information that people might want to know that they don't know.
Sure. If they
So,
want.
so you mentioned the value
Oh,
of the field.
Darlene, hold on, Darlene. Go ahead, Darlene. Go ahead. Go ahead.
As I hear, we're gonna have a hospital coming up here. And who knows, maybe that hospital will buy the school for a certain, put certain things in there, just like St. Luke's has all these different places. Maybe the hospital would be willing to buy the school.
so what would they want a soccer field for?
Well,
Gail,
maybe,
why would they want a soccer field?
maybe they need more land to, have more parking or something.
For what? We have parking when we have school functions and everybody sits in the front of that school.
Yeah, but it's cramped, it is cramped.
But it works.
Yeah, but it's cramped.
Sorry I came into the meeting late, but my name's Gerald Maltron, I'm a Franklin Township resident. I was to the supervisors meeting about 2 months ago when this all first became brought up in that. And I recommended to the township that we buy the whole 20 acres, the school, everything there is, simply because there is no land available in the township anymore for expansion for things 15 and 20 years down the road. Now, we all have kids that are playing in the Little League and the Babe Ruth League and what have you, and if we want to keep them in the area, what are we going to have here for them in the future? I had recommended buying a building for moving our township offices and our maintenance shed and everything to the property, and also renting out part of the building for different offices if need be, and also using the cafeteria, the auditorium, and the stage area for a community center. You look around, all our surrounding communities and townships have places for civic groups and organizations to meet. We do not. We have to rely on a Lions Club meeting at a small area like the Pfeiffer's Ice Cream, the refreshment stand up there, small churches, which are starting to close up more and more all the time. But 15, 20 years down the road, we're not gonna have anything available to keep our kids here. And I also wanna say that I grew up playing Little League sports and I played high school sports and that. And where do you start building the character and the instilling values into kids than at the 8, 9, 10 level, showing them what fair sportsmanship is, showing them what it is to play as a team. Amen. It's not an I thing, it's a we thing. And the same thing as us being here as a group today. The school board, the community, it's not about one or the other, it's about everybody working together to bring in unity and for advancement within our own area here. I had a coach in high school, And his theory was that if one kid benefited from that program was a 100% success. And he got that from a biblical principle of the lost sheep. So, for any of you people or parents that, you know, think about your grandchildren, your children, and the future generation, and anybody that's going to stay in this area, you know, we got to change with the times. And I still recommend that we buy the whole, you know, 20 acres, the buildings and that, and also that, you know, the school board work with us. You know, this seems to be a big item. I read numbers of 59 million, 119 million, and, you know, people are looking for 55,000. You know, everybody's got to come together on this deal. This is not just a thing that we here tonight, you know, can think about ourselves. We have to think about our future generations and where our township's going to go. We do not have any room for expansion. When Beltsville Lake came in, they took all the land around here and they put it all into developments and that stuff, and we brought in so many more people. Now we have to have things and places for these people to be able to do things, to go to, and one of these things, I'm sorry. Oh, no, I thought you wanted me to quit.
Yeah.
He was talking about development of kids. I always used to tell my kids, listen, learn the game of baseball, listen to me, do well in school, and you can be anything you want to be. I had one of the kids that I coached in Little League Baseball. You know what he is now? He's a doctor in the Lehigh Valley Hospital. So there, that just goes to show you, if you instill in these kids at a young age, they can be whatever they want to be. And that comes from that field up at Christman Field. And it started up there. But he's a local doctor now.
So almost everyone in this room, if not everyone in this room, agrees that the baseball fields need to stay baseball. And I don't think anyone argues with that. The question is, how do you keep it baseball? And the only way that I've ever seen that someone can actually control that is by ownership. Whether the district owns it and keeps it, whether the township owns it, or more likely if a private company owns it. And at $55,000, I agree, it's a steal. We should all help the FPAA, fund the GoFundMe, and let them buy it so they can own it forever. And as far as the worry, hold on, as far as all the people that are worried about the township paying for the grass, township paying to cut the stuff and do that, you can, as owner, you can make a municipal agreement and they can still provide the support if you can't get the volunteers to cut the grass or to do stuff. But I bet if you ask, all of us have always shown up to do it. 30 years it's been done that way. It's been done that way. It hasn't stopped. Every time there's a new set of people that come in every year.
That's the point when it started in 1979 and it's been going till today.
Because of volunteers.
So what's wrong with it?
You gotta control it. If you don't own it, you're on trouble.
Hi.
And I believe the value that Schwab told you in a letter was the whole thing's worth $750. Is that correct?
That's what it is.
Yeah. And I don't think that's out of bounds. And I think the school, hold on, I think the school offered you guys back in 2014 to take it. The whole thing, right? The township refused.
That's not right. I never had it.
Where did it get?
I never had it.
I never had it.
It was. Because it was joint fire.
I'd like the board to make a motion. If we can't get it from the school board to the way we have it right now, let's start looking at eminent domain. And let's just take it.
Anybody else?
Give it to the township.
Like to say anything?
I mean, 79 is when it started. And there was nothing there.
Players are here. Do you guys want it or? Does the Little League want the field? Bradley keeps saying you guys to take it.
We've expressed our concerns during the April the April meeting and the May meeting, what our feelings were. We listened to presentations, we've done our due diligence, we've researched. There's a whole lot of, like, I brought it up at the last school board meeting. We compete in Pennsylvania District 18. There's 17 fields within Pennsylvania District 18, which is all of Carbon County, Eastern Schuylkill County, and Southern Luzerne. Out of those 17 fields, 11 are owned by municipalities, 2 are owned by school districts, 2 are owned privately, and 2 are their own association. One being Summit Hill. Summit Hill Little League is no more, it is now Anthracite. So I don't know what the deal is, if it was ever transferred to Anthracite, if somebody from Summit Hill still owns it or not. But
you want the community, the township.
We'd like to see it be owned by the township, just because if it's owned by the association, then liabilities and stuff like that, we gotta gate it. And not all the taxpayers here in this room are gonna be able to take their children up there and play ball. In a sense, you're gonna be trespassing if it's owned by FTAA.
Unless they're club members and pay a fee.
Unless they're club members.
They help cover the cost.
Dave, you walked away when I asked the question.
I'm sorry.
You walked away when I asked the Little League the question. I asked them, did they want the field? You keep saying they should take it. What I just heard them say is, they don't really want it. So why are you forcing them to take it? Gail, I'm asking you the same question. They're
Rod, it's not a force.
for the community.
Rod, it's an offer. It's a force. It's not a force.
And
There's
they
an
said
opportunity
thanks,
that's
but
being
no
missed.
thanks.
Not everybody thinks that way, and I agree. But it only takes one person with a good idea to learn something. And here's the idea. If you own the field, he's worried about liability, grass cutting, and trespassing. All 3 can be managed and handled very easily by every other organization that owns baseball field without the concerns that he has. Deep Run buys extra fields, and then they actually sold their development rights for thousands of dollars so they could have a nest egg, so the kids don't have to go selling chocolates just to make sure they can make their payments to buy a hat or a pair of pants.
Did you hear what he said?
There's a lot of
Deep
Deep
Run
Run also charges $100 family
And-
fee dues, and they charge anywhere
But they have
from 90 to
multiple sports. They have
210.
soccer.
But the ones that went
basketball,
private, he
baseball.
said sold out.
Okay.
The township's gonna be here forever, longer than all of us in this room. The township's gonna go on forever. He stated that Little League did sell some up in Pleasant, or Summit Hill, you said they went out of business.
But
Little
Summit
League could
Hill
go
was
out of
absorbed by
business here,
Anthracite.
but
But you
the
use the word
township's
eminent
gonna
domain. For eminent domain means you're buying it. Eminent domain, you're still paying fair market value, which is $5 grand an
So
acre.
you're not listening to what everybody said.
I am listening to it.
But you're
If you're
listening,
gonna use
you're
eminent
not
domain,
hearing.
if you're
You're not
gonna
hearing.
use eminent domain, you're paying for those fields. Correct?
Just do the right thing. The community wants it.
If you
Gail, do the right
What's wrong with
thing.
that?
The community wants it.
Do the right thing.
That's what you're saying. The community, they don't want it.
If they wanna buy the fields, they buy
That's
them.
all I gotta say.
They don't wanna buy.
Sorry.
If they use eminent domain, that's fine. Does everybody understand that or not? Taking them under eminent domain means you pay for them. I know. If you take the fields under eminent domain, do you pay the school district?
Yes, you
Thank
don't,
you.
you pay market value.
You just have to ask questions again.
Sure.
Okay. My name is Stacy Durst, I live out in Sawmill Run. So I have heard, and I don't know if this is a true statement or not, does the township have money to make a purchase?
Yes.
Okay, so, is that something that is even on the table as an option? Buying it as a community center or anything like that? Is that even an option, or do people throw the whole property, the whole property? Is that even like a possibility in the realm of possibilities, I guess?
I would definitely say the fields, the school is
We
very
went and
question.
did a tour, we did a tour of the school,
Okay.
all of us did. And it needs a lot of work.
I know that.
More
yes.
than,
I was on the school board,
and it's huge.
I understand that.
And we just felt we'd have to get almost into like the real estate business because it's so big, you'd have to rent sections of it out. We would have to, even for an assisted living, to put half of it assisted living, you'd have to bring it up to code, you'd have to put sprinkling systems in, you'd have to, put air conditioning in, you'd have to put bathrooms in. The ceilings are leaking. It would take a lot of work. We do have a building fund money, The thing with that is, we'd have enough money to buy the school, but the cost of just maintaining it is way more than what we can possibly afford at this point. With the money that we have for a new building, we can get a grant for that, but the thing is, it has to be a new building. So we couldn't get a matching grant. If we have $8,000, we can't get a matching $800,000 to buy the school, unfortunately.
Okay.
So we've been seriously talking about all of this.
Okay.
But we've been hearing how people in our community are saying they don't want to pay more taxes. They don't want their tax dollars to go to paying for maintenance on the field. That's why we call this meeting, so that we can get input. And from what we're hearing right now, everyone would like it to stay the way that it is. It's been working all these years. What we're afraid of is, okay, we could buy it, when we go to buy it, somebody outbids us, we all lose. We all lose. So.
No one can outbid you if it's a private sale.
Are you gonna sell it to us for $55,000?
You can offer to the school for fair market value, and you need 2 appraisals. Here's one of them, and we have another one for you, which we gave you. You walk up to the school and you say, I want to buy it for this fair market value. A judge blesses it, and you're done. No opposition. No, it's a private sale. The board can, you're missing the point. The board, if somebody walks in and says they want to buy it individually, the board can say no. They have all the authority in the world, but they can't. No one's going to do that. You have a.
What do you mean nobody's going to do it? The developer will come in.
Try it and see what happens.
Can I ask
It's a
a
judge.
follow-up question?
2 appraisals. It's like reverse eminent domain. Buying it. You're missing out. Read the code.
So, if you have debated about possibly purchasing the building, and you have to let out due to maintenance fees and things like that, so can I ask what the expected tax impact would be if that purchase went through? Have you looked at that? Okay.
To be honest, no.
That's fine. No,
Well, to
that's
maintain the building the way it is now, it's like $75,000 to $85,000 a year,
Just
just to have that building. Our current, for all the buildings we have now, is about $24,000 a year.
Okay, so you're tripling your costs. Okay.
Yeah, so that would definitely throw a flag up the raise tax.
Okay.
Cover that.
Okay, no, that's a good answer. I mean, not a good answer, but it answers my question.
Fixing the building, so
Yes.
it's move-in ready, because it's not move-in ready. It's actually, I'm actually astounded when we walked in and see the garbage cans and the rain running in. I don't know how kids can sit in a classroom with that.
And Jay, just to clarify, the code says you can also give it to a nonprofit, like the FTAA, it's a 501 nonprofit. The district could do that and just hand it to them, and they would have the field, own it, and have complete control over them forever. And then the township could decide to help with the grass and the maintenance. The community can do whatever the community chooses to do to help, just like you do with the fire company here, they're a nonprofit, just like you do with any other location. Pfeiffer's, you still can do it. There's nothing wrong with that, and correct.
We were talking about offering $55,000. Is that gonna make that great of a difference for the debt user carrying over there?
The debt is astronomical. The fact, let's make sure we understand, there's 2 things. The debt is astronomical, it won't even put a dent in it. And nobody in this room was ever asked whether or not they wanted to close Franklin Elementary, the schools, the fields, or anything 4 years ago, when the school board used their authority over the sheeple and chose what to do without any choice, no referendum, no voice. So thank you for having a voice. The world is changing, we're making it better, but that took place. And all those other districts that weren't even given anything for Mahoning, East Penn, they got nothing. The fact that you guys are even here and everybody's trying to get this done, smart. Get it done.
You know, the people on the board never gave you a chance to put anything on initiative or referendum on the ballot.
They should have put it on the ballot.
Yes, but they never do. They never did. The old
Give
board
them a
never
shot.
gave you a chance.
We asked for it, the first day in office I asked for it, and they shut it down. I don't know why they don't want people to
Look, we're not here to talk about the school board, are we?
Correct, no, we're talking about people's voices, and this is an important part of it. The one idea is all you need.
We had a lease ready to go with the IU for Franklin. And the PTOs know that, okay? We had it ready to be signed, and Mr. Cleaver can sit back there and support this. And what happened was, after they re-looked at it, they knew the cost to bring it up to ADA compliance and so on would have incurred a cost to all the districts in Corbin and Lehigh counties, therefore they backed out. That's what happened. But we had an actual lease ready, right, Mr. Cleaver? And it was ready to rock and roll, you know, and that's what happened. So there's a lot of renovations, ADA requirements, yes. It is not a cheap building to, yeah, take care of, you know? So, and for the, we did not exceed the debt payment, the borrowing power to do a referendum. We did not exceed that number. So we would have to go to the county commissioners to be able to do a referendum, which they haven't done, which would cost the taxpayers more money. So that's what happened. So, yes.
I just, I'm a member of the school board. My name is Rita Spinelli and I live in Franklin Township. We keep talking about this 119,000, 58,000, whatever. I think everybody needs to understand that that's a mortgage on the buildings. I mean, if you have a mortgage on your house, you're in debt. The district is not in debt, as Mr. Bradley likes you to think. We have a mortgage on buildings. If we can make that mortgage payment and pay all our other bills, it's the same as you being able to make your mortgage payment and pay all of your bills. We are not financially unstable. I checked this with PSBA. We are not. Our bond rating is still in the A's. I don't know what the problem is.
Thank you.
So Dave, if the township would buy for $55,000, you would sell it to them?
The township offers the district $55,000 per, right, they can buy it. The board would have to approve the sale at an authorized meeting. You guys had a special meeting in 3 days. I bet you could have that special meeting in 3 days and make that happen. You gotta ask the board members have to make that decision, not myself. It's the cost of the property.
And that's guaranteed $55,000.
Now, you gotta have appraisal. We have 2 of them. You need 2 to go to the judgment. Here.
I have a better idea, Mr. Brad. Why don't you just give it to $1? Give it to us for $1. We'll take it, and this is all done. Yeah, you did.
Mr. Cleaver.
Board members.
Is that actually possible?
I can't speak for the board. I can only speak for myself and my recommendations. I'm not gonna say one way or another because I don't know exactly what the boards are thinking. The fact that we're even here surprises me. I thought it was I don't want to say no-brainer, but I thought it was an easy turnover. I think that what the township has done for the kids in the community, it made sense. When I got the letter from the township, I sent it out to the board immediately, so they were aware of it. And the fact that we're sitting here several months later is very surprising to me. So I will not speak on their behalf because I can't say for sure.
If the township would make an offer, you would entertain it?
What's that?
You would entertain it if we make an offer?
The township?
If the township will make an offer?
For the whole property, for the entire property?
No, just the field.
Well, the issue is a subdivision. And the other thing I have to
I'm
be,
sure we can cover that.
the other part of it too is, with subdivision, if you're purchasing it, in order for us to subdivide it, and again, this would be an attorney question, is being that it's a school district property, usually you have to subdivide it for the use of academics or student use. And I don't know that the township would be covered under that use as far as academic use. Even though the kids are using it, I don't know that the township, but that would be a legal question you'd have to get clarified. I'm just putting it out there. Again, to me, to spend $55,000 when it would have cost the township probably 7 or 8 for the subdivision cost. And for people who keep bringing up money and those type of things, I mean, math isn't my specialty. I'm more of a history person, but 55,000 compared to 8,000 seems a little.
But the difference between the 8,000 and the 55 is one is ownership and one has a revert clause that the district can take it back from you depending on who's in their office.
And again,
and that's a problem. And I don't want the kids losing that school, and I don't think you should let those kids lose those fields to a district that has a control over them by a revert clause.
Give it to the township and let them lose it.
Correct. I
Why don't
completely
you do
understand that.
Why don't you do that?
You just talked about eminent domain.
I didn't say that.
I did.
Yeah, so as soon as they
But
talk
why
about
can't
eminent
you
domain,
give it?
why can't you?
You can.
It's in the county. Well, why
You
don't
can. I don't, that's a board. You show up and you say, hey, this is a great motion. Put it on the board, let 9 people vote.
We asked them last time.
Why are we here?
There's another one over there.
I'm concerned though that we're gonna have like the Hunger Games, the soccer parents against the baseball parents here, if you decide just, you know, you're looking at getting rid of a soccer field that's used every Saturday and Sunday from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. And then a coach pitch field that's used. You understand what I'm saying? So you're making an offer for Christman, or proposing an offer for Christman Field, and yet, you know, the soccer fields are gonna potentially be lost, and now you're gonna have to.
At our council meeting, we offered to pay for subdivision for the soccer field all the way up to Christmas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what we're
Okay, so I just wanted
The
to.
right of way alongside of the school.
Yep.
And then the soccer field.
All right, thank you very much.
And we had sent the letter over after Mr. Ballfield came in, asking also for the soccer fields to be part of the Christmas. So that's where they got it from. We sent the letter over.
Okay.
You know, they just didn't pull it out of their hat or anything like that. We sent the letter over. Anybody else? Before we adjourn the meeting, anybody else would like to speak?
I'd like to take one more statement. Township, if the district gives it to the township, there's a reverse clause. Take it back.
Thank you.
Not if it's $1. That's the way it's been for 39 years, so we don't see a change.
I think the fair market value. And this is the cheapest you make. This is free, but if you don't do this before someone puts a sewer in there, it'll be worth hundreds and we'll lose. The township just wants to.
No, they wouldn't put water in it.
Water and sewer, yeah, water and sewer, and then
Water.
it'll be a fortune, and then we'll all lose one.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you. Thank you all for coming.